Welcome back to Digital Trends, live coverage of CES happening in Las Vegas right now for 2018. This is the biggest consumer electronics show, well, the big one and the only one in the world, but this is where all the brands come together to talk about the current and future in technology with their products. Joining me at the table here, we've got Julian who's the mobile editor. Julian, I'm glad to have you back.
Always happy to be here.
Now, obviously, phones are a big part of everyone's life, and we're constantly seeing this tech evolve. Where are we headed? What is the future of mobile?
Well, there's a lot always happening, and last year was the bezel-less trend where all the edges of the phones were getting thinner and slimmer, and this year there's a lot of interest in AR and 3D sensing cameras and even dual screen phones or even flexible phones, which is why, if you want to introduce our guest.
I'm so glad you mentioned dual screens because from ZTE Mobile Devices, we've got Jeff Yee, and you are the Vice President of Product Marketing and Strategy, so a big part of the ZTE structure here. What is this about a dual screen phone?
Yeah, so I should probably explain what we're trying to achieve first, and then I'll show it, I will.
Yeah, cool.
But phones are getting bigger, right? They're getting bigger, they're getting smarter, there's a lot more to do with phones. What we wanted to be able to do was take the experience that someone has at the home, which is I'm watching something, typically on TV, and I'm doing something on my laptop, on my phone. In the workplace, I might be on my computer, but with two different screens to be more productive. And we wanted to take that and make it portable in something with a mobile phone. That's essentially what we tried to do.
I actually have heard it be called, like, we're all in the 5-screen or the 4-screen world at the moment, where it isn't just the one thing, it's the television, the laptop, the phone, the device, like the gaming system as well. So you're just trying to make all of that basically in the palm of your hand.
Exactly, but the thing about mobile is it's portable, right? We have to be able to use it at one hand at some times and two hands, and other times it needs to be able to fold into my pocket or into my purse, and that's a challenge that we have as a hardware manufacturer. How can you make a phone do everything that someone wants to do, but yet with the portability so that they can carry it and that they can use it with one hand when they need to?
So when did ZTE just think, you know what, we need dual screen? When did this idea come about, and how long does it take to create the technology to get here?
Yeah, the first thing I want to correct is we don't call it dual screen, we actually call it foldable, and I'll explain why. The intention is to eventually get to a larger screen, one screen, when a consumer wants it. At the moment, it is a two-screen display. That's what we have available in terms of screen technology. But in the future, though, just to be clear, we do see one screen, just something that can bend.
Fold
that might
away.
be a couple of years away. But we're basically setting the tone. We're building the ecosystem. We're learning the software that needs to be able to understand when it's in a single screen or single-handed mode versus the two-handed mode.
And what kinds of, with that flexible display technology, what kinds of form factor, because this is a very pragmatic solution, because you fold it easily back and it kind of snaps and there's a nice satisfying click, but with a foldable screen, the sort of opportunities are almost endless. What do you see ZTE sort of focusing on, like just something you can roll up and put in your pocket, or?
I think the challenges that we have for bendable screens is going to be something that can open and close many times every day for the period of time that someone has a phone, which is typically about 2 years. So I think the first things we'll see in bendable screens are going to be something that is more stationary, curved over our wrist. Eventually we'll get to the point where it can withstand the strain of opening and closing over many years, but I do think that's coming. We're probably just maybe 2, 3, 4 years out.
And the Axon M, which is what you have in your hands, sort of launched early November last year, and it's sort of an exclusive phone to AT&T. What is sort of the feedback that you've been getting from consumers, and how successful has it been? Do you see a lot of people, what's the demographic? Is it young people that want this sort of technology? Is it a millennial sort of thing, or is it an older audience?
It's early adopters, right? This is a very new technology. It takes time to get people educated on something like this. It's the type of person that wants to be able to watch 2 football games at one time. It's someone that wants to be able to be productive and type their email much faster, because now I've got a very large keyboard, yet I can still see the application above. It makes someone more productive. It takes them less time to do the tasks that they have been doing before, and that's the type of user that's attracted to it.
And so with the Axon line, which is your sort of flagship line of products, this last year we were expecting a traditional phone, and we got the Axon M, and ZTE was pretty clear to say that this is not a replacement for the future Axon series, that it's a completely new category of products. So what should we be seeing, or what's ZTE looking at the trends for 2018 in terms of smartphones that we can sort of expect in the upcoming, whatever is the next Axon phone will be?
Yeah, the trend will be, from our standpoint, we will continue what we call the traditional. Traditional means single screen. And we will develop that, and I think the biggest trend this year is going to be 5G. And phones become smarter and smarter, lower latency, more bandwidth. We're going to see more applications that are in the cloud versus the device. So we just call that smarter, because a lot of this 5G, we've seen a lot of form factor changes over the year. A lot of it now is actually in the guts of the phone, and people won't really notice a difference sometimes between 4G and 5G until they press a button, they realize how much faster that application is. But from our standpoint, Axon now will continue with that traditional screen, and now we will also have our foldable series as well.
And they're sort of the same sort of ranking in terms of what ZTE is behind, right? There's nothing that you're pushing more. Both are still flagship devices, and
absolutely, it's a consumer choice. For some people, they will prefer a larger screen when they want it, and for someone else, they're just more comfortable with, again, traditional.
And in terms of 5G that you just mentioned, what are sort of things that everyone's saying 2020? Some carriers have even said 2018, 2019, 2020. How does ZTE play a role in that?
Well, that answer depends on the geography, and here in the U.S., I think we've already seen carrier commitments such as AT&T that will start to roll it out. In other geographies, they're going to be a little further behind. For ZTE, we've got a roadmap essentially knowing where the carriers are, and we've got a strategy to help them both on the network side, because we provide equipment to those carriers, as well as devices that when they're ready will take advantage of those new features.
I know that at CES we're all about the wow factor. We're all about seeing technology where it's like, whoa, and I have a feeling this phone, it falls into that category because ever so casually you just folded the phone and sat it on the desk as if it was no big deal at all, which is something that I can't do with my phone. So let's talk about just the ways that you can utilize this phone.
Sure. What I basically folded here, we call it tent mode, is it's essentially a split screen. Now what we can do with a phone such as this is, in this particular case, 2 users now. I'll play a video. Right, and I can watch it, you can watch it, 2 people on different sides of the table. But it's much more than that, and so what we did is we wrote software. There's a little M button here, let's make sure we can get a shot of this. The M button allows these different icons that you see there stand for one application that can run across both screens, which is what I was showing. In another case, it is one application that will fit across both screens. Now I'm taking advantage of essentially what would be the tablet view. And the last mode that we have allows 2 different applications over 2 different screens. So now I've got a video running here at the bottom. With a 3-finger swipe, I've moved it up to the top, and now I can open Twitter. So I could be watching a movie while tweeting about it at the same time.
Multitasker's dream.
Yeah.
I love it.
Multitasking is what we call it, right? That's why it's named the Axon M. M for multitasking.
Hey, and for Maude for getting it right.
M for Maude.
Yay, everyone wins. As someone who does make and create a lot of content, this for me, the stabilization of it all, which means I can set it up at a desk and present to my phone and then immediately upload the footage. Is that like another way that you can use this particular phone?
For presentations, for 2 people?
To record videos. I kind of want to know where the cameras are and how to use it in that respect.
So the camera is right here. Right, so I could put this on the table without needing a tripod or anything else, and we could be recording Julian.
I also want to know, what is the feedback that you've been getting? Because we haven't seen a phone like this, and it's almost a bit of a risk to test the boundaries of where mobile devices can go. How has it been received so far?
Yeah, the great part about it is we have a direct connection with consumers now. We do it through forums that we manage, through social media, but it's great to hear from our consumers, and they're providing feedback. A lot of it is software-based. This is the first time we have a multitasking phone, and as I just showed you, just one example of a gesture, 3-finger swipe moves applications around. We're getting all sorts of ideas right now directly from consumers, and some of it will be making its way into the next version of the software.
That's super exciting.
And stepping away from Axon a little, of course, last year we also saw ZTE sort of streamlining its budget device lineup in the US at least, and that's the Blade series.
Right.
And always as technology gets better and better, we're seeing flagship level tech sort of trickling down into the lower priced devices. What can we sort of expect to see this year in phones that are priced not at $650 or $1,000?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question, because our mission always has been to be the affordable way to get communication services, the basic necessities that we believe for, it was first voice calling and now it's data services and now it's actually video such as this. Our mission is really to understand at the flagship level what are those features that people are using and then to drive it into the mid-range phones as quickly as possible. We do that with fingerprint sensors, we do that with higher megapixel cameras. So your questions are, what can we expect this year? Well, I can't really give away those secrets, but what I can say is you're going to see last year's flagship already in this year's mid-range.
Now, Jeff, we do have this live. We are broadcasting on YouTube. So hello, if you're watching on YouTube. Ferrano just has a question, and I kind of want to back it. Is it durable when you have two screens? And I'm very good at breaking just one. So how durable is the glass here?
Yeah, that's always a challenge, I'd say, for any manufacturer, whether you have one screen or two. First thing is that we did use the latest version of Gorilla Glass 5. I can drop this right now, probably from about this. Oh, okay, I won't. Sorry.
I get so nervous.
But we've also created a very unique case, though, for this. Right? It's you can't use your
course.
traditional case like this because we have two screens now that we have to protect. So there is a case that's available to fit this device.
Cool.
And I wanted to actually mention, earlier you mentioned the camera. There's only one camera, which is kind of interesting. And so
How do I selfie?
Exactly. That's kind of what I wanted to have.
So the traditional phone has one screen, two lenses. Because if you think about what you're doing, you've got one lens pointed out and you're looking at the screen on the other. So I'll demonstrate how this works. So when I open my camera, it's reminding me, here's the camera sensor right there. It just reminded me that I need to use the display here so that I can capture Julian.
Yeah,
now if I wanted to do a selfie, it's reminding me, turn this around because now I am using this display for the sensor that's pointing in this direction.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah, the switcheroo.
Flip it. Okay, that's cool. And I like that it instructs you because it does help people like me where I'm like, I can't figure it out. So it's telling you the instructions there. Well, thank you so much for stopping by here at Digital
pleasure.
Trends for CES. ZTE sounds like they're doing some pretty risky yet amazing things when it comes to mobile. Julian, obviously, the mobile department's going huge. Tech Awards are coming up. Did you put in your 2 cents for this one?
For Digital Trends Tech Awards,
Yes.
we gave our wearable awards.
I think we're announcing them, so we want to keep it a secret.
Well, yes, I did give my 2 cents, and I guess we'll announce them. I don't want to give anything away.
I just did it to you as well. That's amazing. It's
you-
like one up from a shush, I believe. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us about the mobile department of CES. We've got plenty more coming up, though, so don't go anywhere.